Alright, welcome back to part 2 video. This video we will discuss paper 1 actual SBM 2024 question 7 all the way to question 12. Let's look at question 7a. It is given that the first three terms of a sequence are 4, 8 and 16. State the type of sequence, okay, and give a reason for your answer. Now, if they ask for type of sequence, right, there's only two possible answers, right? Because in your syllabus, you learn about arithmetic and geometry, correct? You only learn either these two. So to differentiate between these two, right, all you have to do is to show that whether they have common difference or common ratio. So for 7a1, what I would suggest to do is try with the common ratio first, because based on your observation, for you to get 4 to 8 and 8 to 16, right, it is pretty obvious to us this is multiplied by 2, right? If you add 4 from 4 to 8, yes, you could add 4, but 8 to 16 is that really add 4? No, right? So it doesn't make sense if you do addition. So it will be most likely multiplication, which we are related to geometry progression. So what we're going to do here is we will try to do common ratio. T2 divided by T1 should be the same answer as T3 divided by T2. All right, you got to prove that this is a common ratio. So left and right side, both of here, you include the number. 8 divided by 4 equal to 16 divided by 8. Both sides you will get 2. Both sides you will get 2. So now, if both left and right are the same, then it is proven this is geometric progression. And since they ask for the reasons, most likely we could say because they share a common ratio r equal to 2. So write that down, write down in your notebook. Whenever they ask for the type of sequence, we have to prove that this is either common difference or common ratio. And then if we were to give a reason, it is pretty clear to us. We can repeat whatever the result that we get from the calculations. Okay, now let's move on to 7a2. A2, it says, hence find the n term of the sequence. Now, n term of the sequence. N term means Tn. In geometric progression, you learned before there's one formula that correlates to the term, the n term. It is by ar power n minus 1. Right? You learned this in geometry. So over here, let's start with Tn equal to ar power n minus 1. This is the very first step. And then over here, you will have to replace the a and r. So a and r, a is 4 because it represents first term. R is 2, which we have just found it just now. And then n minus 1. Over here, you will require a bit of indices knowledge, okay? But it's okay, I'm going to explain more to you. Next step is, most students will think that 4 can straight away multiply by 2. However, it doesn't work that way because you have to settle this first. But since you don't even know what is the n value, you couldn't settle that part. So you cannot actually multiply 4 with 2. No, it doesn't work that way. Then what can you do? Alright, for 2 power n minus 1, right? If you learned before, we can actually make it into 2 power n multiply 2 power negative 1. So over here, 2 power n multiply 2 power negative 1 is actually 1 over 2. Now, you can actually write it this way. Right? When I put brackets, this is the same meaning as multiplication. So if you take number and number, multiply together, 4 times 1 over 2, I suppose you will get 2. Right? Because 4 divided by 2, right? And then followed by 2 power n. Okay, your whole number 2 alone, there is a power 1, but we usually don't write it out. And then now, here comes the same base, right? When you have the same base and its multiplication relationship, what would you do? You will combine them and then make it the power here, addition, right? So over here, we could write it as 2 power n plus 1. And that will be your simplified n term of the sequence. All right, and that is how you solve 7a 1 and 2. All right, now let's move on to part B. Okay, let's move on to part B. In an arithmetic progression, the second term is 5p minus 10, and the 10th term is 7 times the first term. Express a in terms of p. So usually I would recommend my student try to write it out into mathematical equation whenever you read those statements. As long as you read it, make it into a mathematical equation. So what they say here is, oh yeah, just now, for students who haven't taken down the notes yet, you may consider pause the video, copy down 7a 1 and 2, then only move on to part B, okay? All right, part B. So we start from second term is 5p minus 10. That's where we will write it down. T2 is equal to 5p minus 10. And then 10th term is 7 times the first term. That means T10, which is a plus 9d. Okay, maybe some question already asked, sir, how do you know it's a plus 9d? Okay, now for Tn formula, okay, this is arithmetic, right? So this is n divided by 2, 2a plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, so if I'm doing T10, that means my n changed to 10, right? So this is 10 divided by 2, I got 5 here. This is 2a plus, this is 10 minus 1, this is 90. Okay, now after this, oh, hold on. This is not the correct formula. This is for sum. Let me change this again. A plus n minus 1 times d. Yeah, this is the n term formula. So a, we don't know, but we let it be. If I'm doing T10, that means my n value will be 10. So this is a plus 9d. That's where my a plus 9d gets. Okay, so T10 is a plus 9d. And then they say this a plus 9d, right, is 7 times the first term. So 7a. Your first term is represented by a, right? So 7 times 7a. Okay, so over here, we have a plus 9d equal to 7a. Over here, T2, right, we can also make it as a plus d. A plus d. So a plus d equal to 5p minus 10. And then the next thing we could do is to make our d as our subject. D is our subject. And then we try to move a to the back. So 5p minus 10 minus a. Alright, the reason why I want to make d as my subject is because I want to replace or sub into this equation. Okay, because in the end, right, they want a in terms of p. That means in my whole equation, I shouldn't have donkey. That is the reason why I make d as my subject, so that when I focus on my solution, I could replace the d with something else. And usually the something else will be a or either p. So that's how you work on it. So this is a plus 9 bracket 5p minus 10 minus a equal to 7a. Let me erase this, yeah? Okay, next step is to expand it. So a plus, this is 45p minus 90 minus 9a equal to 7a. And then you want to put them together. So we have 45p. This is minus 90. Now a minus 9a, you got negative 8a. And then if you want to move this negative 8a to the back, right, you get 7a plus 8a. On your left hand side, you get 45p minus 90. So that will be 15a at the back. This is 45p minus 90. They want a as your subject, so that means you want to move the 15 to the other side, right? So your a is actually 45p minus 90 divided by 15. And then you want to be careful with the numbers. If they can simplify, then you want to simplify it. So 45 divided by 15, you get 3p here, and then 90 divided by 15 is 6. So a is equal to 3p minus 6, and that is exactly a in terms of p, 3 marks. All right, 3 marks. Okay, Now, students, you may write down the solution right here before I move on to question C. Okay, please take some time, take your time to write it down. And please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're really learning something. I hope to share this for free on on my YouTube channel, and I hope that you will get good results in the future. Okay, let's move on with C. A polygon with n sides is drawn such that the sides of its interior angles form an arithmetic progression. It is given that the size of the largest interior angle is 5 times the size of the smallest interior angle. Express A in terms of n. A in terms of n. Okay, let's write down C here. Okay, now we have the first term, which is the smallest interior angle as A, and then Tn is equal to 5a. Okay, why do I say it's Tn? Because I don't really know how many sides they have, right? But then they did mention the largest interior angle is 5 times the size of the smallest interior angle. So I would say 5a, right? And also I'm assuming that this Tn will be the last term already, since it is the largest interior angle, if you got what I mean. Okay, so my first term, my last term, Tn equal to 5a. The next thing is we have to study carefully what is the questions asking and the information that they give us. So they talk about interior angles. If I were to link this two, I have to make up something, which is total interior angles is calculated by n minus 2 times 180. All right, this equation is what you learn in your lower form maths when you learn about polygon chapter. So for you to calculate the total interior angles, you would use n minus 2 times 180, right? So over here, we will write the Sn formula. The Sn formula, because the sum formula in this chapter progression that we learn is coming from the first term all the way to the last term, right? We did learn that. So we will translate this Sn into whatever formula we learned in this chapter. We also learned before one of the formula is n divided by 2 times a plus l. What is a plus l? The l stands for last term. Now, this formula is only applicable when we have last term, that information in our hand. So n divided by 2 bracket a plus l is the same as this n minus 2 times 180. Remember, the reason that we can make these two the same thing is because we both referring to from the first term adding all the way to the last term, okay? So n per 2 bracket a plus l. Now, n per 2 a plus, because my last term is 5a, I will replace this as 5a. N minus 2 times 180. Okay, remember, yeah, the question wants us to do a in terms of n. So most likely our equations, okay, let us continue from here. N divided by 2, 6a. This is n minus 2 times 180. All right, the next thing we want to do is to expand this. So this is 2 and 6 we cut off. We get 3 over here. So this is 3an equal to n minus 2 times 180. Okay, the next thing is we want to move the 3 and n to the back. So we left with a here. This is n minus 2 times 180 divided by 3n. Now the 3, right, can be divided with the 180. So n minus 2, 180 divided by 3, you get 60. So this is times 60. And then at the bottom, you only left with n. So a in terms of n. I'm sure that some student might ask, sir or teacher, why we don't expand this numerator equation? Because if you actually expand, right, then the formula itself doesn't link to interior angles already. You will get something very different from what we have right now. Okay, we have to fix with the calculation of total interior angles formula. That is also the reason why I didn't actually expand it. Because if you expand it, okay, 180 and minus this is 260. Now this one doesn't make sense. It has nothing to do with the calculation of interior angles already. So you don't want to mix up. Okay, you don't want to mix up the original formula calculation for the total interior angles. And this is how you're going to do for A in terms of N. Okay, so B and C, we have done it. And that sums up for question 7, right? That sums up for question 7. Okay. Okay, now let's move on to question 8. Okay, question 8, it's all about Form 5 Chapter 6, okay, which is trigonometry functions. Let's look at the question together. It is given that sine A is equal to P over 2 and sine A plus B minus sine A minus B equal to 2P, such that A and B are acute angles expressed in terms of P of cos A. So the first thing I would like to invite you to do is to draw the quadrant. Draw the quadrant here. Okay, the reason why I draw at this quadrant is because this is 8 sugar, 2 coffee, and they say acute angles. So acute angles fall under this quadrant. Okay, so definitely you have a right angle triangle here, and then you want to place your A over here. Now, to interpret this information, sine means what? Sine means opposite divided by hypotenuse, correct? So your opposite, okay, is P, your hypotenuse is 2. So this is P here, hypotenuse is 2. Then what is your adjacent? Your adjacent is this line, the horizontal line here. So you're going to get this value by performing Pythagoras theorem. Always remember, Pythagoras theorem is the longest line, 2 square minus P square. Okay, and this is actually, we call it square root of 4 minus P square. We do it until this point, and that's good enough. Okay, that is good enough. All right, let's begin with cos A, all right? Now, for us to solve cos A, they actually want us to express cos A in terms of P. Your answer must have P, yeah? So your answer must have P. So how do we do this? Cos A equal to, okay, cos A equal to, now tell me or ask yourself, what is cos? Cos can be found using adjacent over hypotenuse. So what is the adjacent? You have just found it, right? The adjacent, square root of 4 minus P squared. So this is square root of 4 minus P squared and then divided by, what is a hypotenuse? 2. So you're going to put down 2. And that's all. All right, that's all. 2 marks over there. Okay, for B, this one will be slightly difficult, but it's okay. Once you understand, you're going to get the hang of it. So we focus on the second part of the information now. Okay, we have sine bracket A plus B minus sine A minus B equal to 2P. Oh my god, so long. So what is actually sine B? We will start from here. Let me use another color. And I hope you want to write this down as well. Sine A plus B minus sine A minus B equal to 2P. Okay, now this one alone, right, we can change it into sine A cos B plus cos A sine B minus, follow back the sign, minus, and this one we're going to change it into, make sure you put a bracket, okay, make sure you put a bracket, sine A cos B minus cos A sine B. Okay, and then let's continue from here. We write down equal to 2P. Okay, now where do I get this from? I get it from the formula page. You refer to, I guess it's somewhere around 30 plus. The formula page number 30 and somehow more or less. I forgot already, but basically this one you don't have to memorize it. You just have to understand how we can integrate in our calculations. Okay, so the next thing is I would like to consider expand this bracket by multiplying into the bracket. So I have sine A cos B plus cos A sine B. This is minus sine A cos B. The negative sign times with the negative sign, you get positive cos A sine B and equal to 2p. Okay, now let's look this equation carefully. Do you notice you have a sine A cos B and then you follow by a minus sine A cos B? This means these two can be cancelled. Straight away, no more. Now, and then you left with cos A sine B, cos A sine B. One apple and one apple, add together two apples. So right now we have 2 cos A sine B equal to 2p. Okay, because your target is on sine B, which is the goal over here. That means we have to try our best, okay, to make sine B as our subject, our main subject. So I'm going to move this, okay, to the back. But how do I do that? First, I move the 2. I do it step by step. 2p divided by 2. This is cos A sine B. So 2p divided by 2, we left p, right? And then if you want sine B only, you're going to move cos A to the back. So this is p divided by cos A. Meaning sine B is p divided by cos A. Sine B is p divided by cos A. My friend, do you have cos A? Of course, you just did it. So this is p divided by square root 4 minus p squared divided by 2. Now I'm going to teach you, there are some students might not know how to really like divide this whole thing, okay? But I'm going to show you now. You can write it this way: p divided by square root of 4 minus p squared divided by 2. Always remember, when you try to divide a whole number and a fraction thing, right? For the whole number, there is always a 1 at the bottom. There is always a 1 at the bottom. And then once you make this is a division for fraction, you can turn it into this multiplication and then turn the fraction upside down. When you turn it upside down, right, you're going to multiply horizontally. So p times 2 is 2p, and then 1 times the square root everything, you get back exactly 4 minus p squared. And congratulations, you got 5 marks in total. This is how you're going to do it. So is there anything I have to memorize? I would say no, because the formula application doesn't require you to memorize anything. But I can tell that the structure of chapter 6, right? If you look at questions like this, most of the time you will have to have this. You have to understand the 4 quadrants very well. You have to understand sin, cos, tangent, the basic. For example, sin is opposite over hypotenuse, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Now all this, the small details, right? You gotta be really good at it. Okay, so then the rest is to solve more questions, more variety of questions, and then you gain experience along the way. That is how you actually gain more confidence in tackling more types of questions. Okay, so now students who need to pause the video, feel free to do so, because after this we'll move on to question 9. Okay, now question 9. Let's treat the question together. Diagram 6 shows a rectangle A, B, C, and D. At an instant, the value of x changes from 3 all the way to 3 plus p, such that p is a small value. Using differentiation, expressed in terms of p, the small change in the area of ABCD in cm squared at that instant. Okay. Expressed in terms of p, the small change in the area of ABCD. What is small change in the area of ABCD? Small change of area. This is exactly what they want. Small change in area. Now this is delta, yeah, this is not S, guys. This is delta, not S. Now delta basically linked to the word small change. In Malay, perubahan kecil. Okay, so the reason why I write A, right, is because of the area. Okay, or in Malay, if you are solving this in Malay, right, you can write luas with the capital L. It's fine. You can write delta L. Okay, so let me continue from here. We also notice at the very beginning statement, right, they say value of x changes from 3 to 3 plus p. Now, I would like you to find one thing. We call it delta x, which is small change in x. Okay, small change in x. We will use the new value minus original value to get the delta x. So I'm going to use 3 plus p, right, to minus original value, which is 3, and you will end up with PCM. Sure, you're going to ask me, sir, why do you want to find delta x? What is the purpose of delta x? I'm going to show you now. Okay, because if you want to get delta a right, my friend, you will have to apply this concept. dA over dx is the same as delta a per delta x. If today you're confused with this one, I'm sure you heard before, dy dx sama dengan delta y per delta x. I'm sure you heard before this concept. Which means if our target is delta a, I just have to move delta x to the left. I can find my delta a using dy dx. Sorry, this is not dy dx. This is dA dx multiply delta x. So delta x you already have. You just found it, which is p. It's a good thing. You don't have to worry what is p, because why? The question 1 expressed in terms of p. There's no point finding out what is the value of p. Then the next thing is you have to ask yourself, how do I get dA dx? dA dx obviously start from the equation of a, which is your area. So based on this diagram, right, this is a rectangle. So it's pretty clear to us, if I want to find my area, I will form an area equation regarding to a rectangle. So let's do area. Area is length times width, right? Length times width. So this is 5x minus 1 bracket 2x. Expand this equation, you get 10x squared minus 2x. Now, because we need the dx, so I'm going to differentiate this equation. All right, if you want to differentiate this equation, please remember in differentiation, okay, now I'm teaching you basic of differentiation. Your 2 have to be multiplied with the front number, so you get 20. After this, your power alone must minus 1. You get x power 1. You don't have to write down the 1. Next thing, for this x here, original it's already power 1. If you multiply 2 at the front, you get back negative 2. What about the x power negative 1? You will minus 1 again. X power 0 equal to 1. Everybody, x power 0 equal to 1. So this is all you have, dA dx. Okay, now you already have your dA dx, you already have your delta x. Now let's move on to the final step. We rewrite this. Delta a equal to dA dx times delta x. Now, dA dx, I want you to write it down, 20x minus 2 times with the p. Okay, there's one problem here. There is another unknown of x, but don't worry, because I'm going to tell you what you have to replace with. For every dA dx or dy dx or anything with dx, usually this is the original value. So, refer back to original value of x, which is 3. Right, which is 3. We will replace this x with 3. And then minus 2. Oh yeah, guys, don't forget, if you want to put a bracket, it's safer for you to put a bracket, okay? So you have to settle down this one first. Only you multiply with p. So 20 times 3 is 60. 60 minus 2 is 58. 58 times p, 58p cm square. Okay, the reason why I write down cm square is because this is about area. So I have to put down cm square. But then I make sure that my answer is in terms of p, and that is exactly how you want to solve question 9a. Okay, I hope you're done with this one, or maybe you may consider pause the video and then try to capture down first. Remember to take note, whenever you go through a question, right, you always want to write down, okay, what are the concepts that you learned? Why do we apply this concept? When do we apply this concept? You have to do that. You have to make a conclusion every question that you did. Okay, otherwise it's very hard for you to capture. Your mind, right, will go here and there. But if you write it down, a conclusion for every question you did, I'm sure your brain going to capture and memorize and remember it for a long time. Okay, so let's continue with 9b. Diagram 7 shows 2 lots of land, P and Q. Both lots will be planted completely with the same type of grass. Alright, it is given that the perimeter of lot P is 54 meter and the area of lot Q is a meter square. Using differentiation, pembezaan again, find the value of y such that a is maximum. This is another common type of questions in pembezaan or differentiation. Okay, it is very, very common and very typical. So I'm going to show you how we can solve this. 6 marks. Okay. Let us start with forming an equation first. Okay, we're gonna form an equation first. Then what kind of equation do we have to form? Okay, so if you want to find the y value only exists in the second diagram, right? The right hand side diagram. So over here, they say find the value of y such that a is maximum. What is the a that they represent? The a they represent is the area, right? So this is actually a trapezium. Then you want to think of trapezium area formula. What is the area formula of a trapezium? 1/2 times a plus b, which is the bottom length and the top length. So this is 5y plus 3y. And then you want to multiply with the height of the trapezium, which is 38 minus 8y. Okay, now let's calculate this. We have 8y here, and then we're going to multiply with 38 minus 8y. So 1/2 times 8y, you got 4y. 4y minus 38, and then there's a bracket 38 minus 8y. Okay, now I'm sure that you know how to expand this. Make sure you want to use a calculator to double check your answer. So 4 times 38, you get 152. Y. 4 times 8 is 32y squared. 32y squared. Now that is your area equation. 152y minus 32y squared. What do we do with this? How will this help us to get our value of y? I just want to ask you a question. If there is a curve given, and then there's a straight line passing through here, this is the maximum point of the curve, right? Now, I want you to imagine like this. What happens here is when dy dx equal to 0, right? For the straight line to pass through this maximum point, that happens when my dy dx equal to 0. Why dy dx equal to 0? Because the gradient is equal to 0. There is no keturunan here. The straight line is horizontal. The gradient is 0. And dy dx is alone its gradient. So you have to understand this. If I want to find a y value when my area is maximum, right, then I just have to do this. I do differentiation. This is equation A. 152y minus 32y squared. I make differentiation, dA dy. Make sure you follow the equation here because you have y, of course, it's dA dy. So you get 152 minus 64y. Maybe some students still might ask, sir, how do you get 64? Okay, 2 times 32 is how much? 64. Y power alone minus 1, you get power 1. So 64y. Okay, now what do we do with this? We take 152 minus 64y equally to 0 because that is when my area is maximum. That is where my area is maximum. Same goes to here. As I tell you, we have a curve, the maximum point, a straight line. That is where my dy dx equal to 0. Okay, so it actually aligned with the concept. So 152 minus 64y equal to 0. This is when your area is maximum. You are trying to form an equation that relates to the maximum of area. Now, to get your y value, you have to move this. 152 equals to 64y. Y is 152 divided by 64. This one can be simplified down. You get 19/8, or you want to write it in decimals, is fine. This is 2.375 meter. Okay, 2.375 meter. And so this is how you get your y value. And also, how do you prove that this is actually a maximum area? Now, if you want to prove this, okay, this is the continuous step. d square a dy squared. You have to perform double differentiation. Double differentiation means you will differentiate one more time from here. Okay, one more time, differentiate this equation. We only focus on those with y. So this is y originally power 1. Multiply the front, you get how much? Negative 64, right? And then the y power 1 minus 1 again, you got y power 0, so no more already. So d square a over dy square will give you negative 64 as a result. negative 64, is it less than 0? When you perform double differentiation and you get a result of less than 0, this has proven that this is a maximum point, which also relate to area is maximum. Okay, so the y value that you find, it's a valid y. All right, we already ensure that the y value is gotten when the area is maximum. Okay, and that is for 9, right, 9b1. Okay, so this is to prove maximum. Whether you want to prove maximum or minimum, right, you will all still do double differentiation. Okay, and this is the most important method to equal it to 0, because that is exactly where maximum and minimum happen. But you have to understand that first you form the area equation, then you differentiate that equation, you get dA dy, you equal this to 0 to get your y value. So that is for part 1, and then part 2 has determined the lot that will be planted with the most grass, justify your answer. All right, when they say this, right, it means I have to find out which area is larger, like P or Q, because if the area is larger, then I can plant more grass. Logic, right? So over here, I have to prove that lot P and lot Q, which one has a larger area. Okay, let's do that. So the first thing I want to do is, this is for number 2. I will have to add up this info because they tell me the perimeter of lot P is 54 meter. So I've got to add up this first. This is x minus 1 and this is x. So by adding all this, I can equal to 54 to find my x first. Okay, so this is x plus x minus 1 plus x minus 1 equal to 54. So we have 4x and then minus 2 equal to 54. X is actually 54 plus 2 divided by 4. I get 14. Okay, so since I already knew x is my 14, I go and find my area. Area can be found by x minus 1 times with the x. Area of P, x minus 1 times with the x. So 14 minus 1 multiplied by 14. I get 182 meters squared. Now let's focus on area of Q. Okay, area of Q, right? You will use this equation because this is the original equation that we use to, sorry, not this, this one. Okay, this one, 152y minus 32y squared. That is the area equation for Q. So area equal to 152, y value you found already, 2.375. So you can write it back, 19.8 minus 32 times 19 per 8 square. I'm sure you're going to get an answer, 180.5 meters square. So to compare within these two, right, of course, lot P has a greater area. Okay, so lot P will be planted with more grass. That is the concept. That is the logic. Okay, so let me just write it down as a conclusion. Lot P will be planted with more grass as the area exceeds lot Q by 1.5 meter squared. That's all. That is all the conclusion for question 9b2. And then we are done. Okay, so this is the overall questions for number 9. You may consider pause the video if you need it, and let us move on with question 10. Whew. Okay, question 10. This is about integration. Let me drink some water. Oh, don't forget to drink more water also. All right, let's continue. So we have given that d per dx bracket 1 over x squared plus 1 equal to gx, and then find integration 3gx plus 1. Now, I just want you to be very clear. When I notice this one, right, d per dx, whatever in this bracket, this is y. Okay, so the full thing on the left hand side, right, is like when you differentiate, kalau you bezakan equation ini, persamaan ini or equation or this term, you will get gx as a result. I repeat that again. If you saw d per dx and then bracket something, that means if you differentiate this 1 per x squared plus 1, you will get the result of gx. Okay, so right now they want us to find this integral 3gx plus 1 dx. Okay, now you can actually cabutkan. Okay, you can do it this way. 3, write it at the outside. Integration sign, gx dx. Okay. And then you can also do plus 1 dx. Okay, you can separate it into this way. Okay, because 3, now, if you integrate this one, what does that mean? Okay, see, this is when you differentiate this, you get gx. So gx alone is the complete dy dx. This is the result after you dy dx already. But right now, right, you integrate the dy dx. If you still remember in chapter 3, if you integrate dy dx, what do you get? You get back your original y, right? You get back your original y. So over here, right, when you are used to do integrate gx, that means you get back your original y. What is your original y? As I told you, it's in the bracket. 1 over x squared plus 1. So there is nothing for you to think. You just replace it. But, okay, the integrate 1, okay, a little bit of job to do, okay? Integrate 1 means for any number, if you integrate, right, you just have to add x. When the number is not with x, and you have to integrate that, you add an x to that. So next thing is, I want you to write x, and then plus c also. Why plus c? Because this is indefinite integral. Indefinite integral means there is no value top and bottom. Tak ada nilai dekat atas ataupun bawah. That is indefinite. So whenever we don't have any specific value, then we want to find, sorry, not find, I mean just add and c here. Okay, and then 3 times 1, 3. And there you go, guys. Job done. Job done. All right, job done. So this is 10A, 3 marks. Nothing too much. So please write it down, and I will focus on 10B right now. Let's go to 10B. Let's go to 10B. Diagram 8 shows the graph of x equal to fy. Okay, it is given that the area of shaded region is 9 per 2 unit square. And what they say, 0 to h is the same as k to m, which is 3 over 2. Now, that is telling me that this region is 3 per 2 because k to m, and then 0 to h, this is also 3 per 2. And then if you add up everything, right, it's 9 per 2. Now, this is all the information given in the question. So what they want us to find is, find the value of 0 to k. Where is 0 to k? 0 to k is here. You got to add these two region. Okay, you got to add these two region. Now, how do you solve this? Let me show you. Okay, you have to write this one. All right, 3. Okay, let me write it at the other side. Here, I do it here. All right, for number 1, you got to write 3 per 2 plus, all right, 3 per 2 plus modulus, okay, integral h to k fy dy plus 3 over 2 equal to 9 over 2. Do you agree with this one? All right, do you agree with this one? All right, so over here, why do I have to put modulus? Because for dy, right, if the region is on your left hand side, this is considered negative zone. This is positive zone. I repeat that again. For dy, left is negative, right is positive. For dy, left is negative, right is positive. So over here, if I were to find out what is my hk, okay, hk fy dy equal to, bring this to the back first, 9 over 2 minus 3 over 2 minus 3 over 2. I suppose you get 3 over 2. But because of the modular sign, okay, modular sign, if you want to take it away, your final answer will be negative 3 over 2. So just keep that in mind. I repeat this again. For dy, left hand side shaded region is negative, right hand side shaded region is positive. So when it comes to left hand side region, please put a modulus and know that in the end this answer will be a negative answer once you take off the modular sign. Okay, modular sign is when you learn from 4 chapter 1 functions. That is where you come into touch with the modular signs. Okay, but we are not done yet because the questions 1, 0 to k. This is the very first step for us to find h to k first. Because if you don't know what is h to k, then we wouldn't know what is the answer, right? So for you to find h 0 to k, this is actually 0 h f y dy plus so-called the integration h to k f y dy. Okay, so this one 0 to h is 3 over 2, and then h to k is what you just found, which is negative 3 over 2. So if you take 3 over 2 plus minus mean minus already. 3 over 2 minus 3 over 2, you get 0 lah. So you get 0. Yeah, it looks weird, but this is the answer. Alright, this is the answer. Okay, now let's go on to number 2. Let's move on to number 2. Number 2 here, it says h to k x dy plus k to m 5 over 4 fy dy. Okay, I'm going to solve this over here. I'm going to use it in blue. So for this to work out, h to k x dy. Okay, h to k x dy. H to k means this region, and we just got our answer. This is the h to k region. So this is actually negative 3 over 2 plus, right, you see here, this is k to m. Where is k to m? K to m is here. Wait, where is this? K to m. So they are referring to this region. So for that region, right, we already knew that this is 3 over 2. This is 3 over 2. Okay, so I'm going to plus, but don't forget there's a 5 over 4 at the front. So I want you to do it this way. You write it here. 5 over 4 integral k to m fy dy, and then negative 3 over 2 plus 5 over 4 times the 3 over 2. So your conclusion is 3 over 8. Okay, this is what you're going to put into your calculator, and you're going to get your final answer 3 over 8. Okay, so that is the end of question 10, I guess. That is the end of the question 10. It's all about integration and understanding it. Okay, now you may consider pause the video and write down whichever you need. Okay, write down whichever you need. And then we'll move on to question 11. Okay, we'll move on to question 11. Okay, question 11, 4 marks. So it says there are n plus 1 points on the circumference of a circle. If each point is connected by a straight line to all of the other points, there are 4 n straight lines formed. Polygons can be formed by connecting points on the circumference of the circle. Find the total number of polygons that are possible. Let's just try to draw a circle. And then, first of all, we don't know how many points they have in this circle. So this is n plus 1 point. But then they say each point is connected by a straight line. A straight line, if you want to draw, right, you will connect 2 points. Okay, so 2 points to form a straight line. Right? Okay, and then they say there are 4 n straight lines formed. They are telling us in total among this circle, right, how many straight lines it is formed, which is 4n. Straight line formed. And we're going to base on this visual to create an equation, a valid equation for us to find out total numbers of polygon. But before we are able to find the total number of polygon, we must first identify what is the n value first. We have to understand how many actual points on the circumference, because right now we have no idea how many points. Okay, that's the thing. That's the question. So how do we form an equation which is valid? We can do n plus 1 c2. You get 4n. N plus 1 c2, you get 4n. You know why? Because out of so many points, you choose 2 points, okay, and you will get a result of 4n straight lines, because every time you will use up 2 points. Every time you will use up 2 points. So just n plus 1 c2 equal to 4n, and then over here we will try to find our n. So to find your n value, we will convert this into n plus 1 factorial over 2 factorial n plus 1 minus 2 then factorial equal to 4n. So over here you get n plus 1 factorial over 2 factorial. Inside the bracket, right, this is 1 minus 2. So you get n minus 1 factorial. Okay, equal to 4n. Right, let's continue from here. At the top here, the numerator, I want you to convert this into n plus 1, n, and then n minus 1 factorial over the bottom one is 2 factorial bracket n minus 1 factorial. You notice that this 2 can be cancelled. And remember, this is equal to 4n. So I want you to bring the 2 factorial to the back. That means this is 4n times 2 factorial. Your left-hand side, expand it. You get n squared plus n. N squared plus n. This one, 4n times 2 factorial, you get 8 actually. 8n. Move the 8n to the left. N squared plus n minus 8n equal to 0. How to continue here? N squared minus 7n. Factor n out, you get n minus 7. Okay, this is your first answer. N1 equal to 0. N2, you have to take this, whichever inside the bracket. So you write n2 minus 7 equal to 0. Your n2 will be equal to 7. Now, if you ask me, how many points are there? Right? This one is rejected. You will pick this, because your n must be greater than 0. Must be greater than 0. Okay? So n number 2 equal to 7, which means in this circle, right, I have total 8 points. In this circle, I have total 8 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 points. Okay. Now, with these 8 points, right, how many total numbers of polygons that are possible? You have to understand one thing. At least 3 sides to form a polygon. Okay. What does that mean? It means if you want to form a polygon, you will need at least 3 points. 1, 2, 3. Now, this is polygon with 3 sides. Okay, it could be among these 8 and then they play around. All right, this is just one part of it, the possible way. And then you also have like 4 points connecting. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is also polygon. So if you think logically, for me to calculate the possible number of polygons, right, I would calculate this way. 8C3. I pick 3 points out of the 8. This will help me calculate the possible polygon for 3 points connecting and form a polygon. And then plus 8C4, plus 8C5, plus 8C6, plus 8C7, and plus 8C8. By adding up all this possible 8C3 all the way to 8C8, right, you will get final answer 219 polygons. That is your questions 11A. That is your question 11A. Okay, now consider pause this video and write down. I think this one will be one of the most discussed questions whenever SPM 2024 students came out from the exam hall, right? So, yep, it's all solved now. Okay, when you look back, you will want to take note of whatever is important to you. Okay, 11A, right? I'm gonna give you all some time to actually write down because while I'm recording this, I don't have any pause button. The only pause is my verbal pause for you all. Okay. All right. We shall continue for B. All right. A dormitory consists of 5 bunk beds. Each bunk bed has a top bed and a bottom bed. Table 1 shows the weight of 10 boys to be placed in the dormitory. Students A and B are twins. Now, the last statement is very important. And then we have 5 bunk bed. I would prefer my student to actually, or I would suggest you to actually draw the visuals out. You have 5 bunk bed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this is top and bottom. So draw it out, okay? Draw it out. All right, find a number of different ways to arrange if there is no restriction. This, which means we have 10 students here, and then all the bed must be occupied. So how do you arrange that? How do you calculate that? You can just apply 10p10. Some student might ask, teacher, how do you know when are you going to use P and C? The word arrange means sequence, important. You're going to use P because P means your order or your sequence is important. Susunan penting. Okay, so when they ask for different ways to arrange, I'm going to give you 10p10. Okay, because we have 10 bunk beds and 10 students, so I will apply all, and then 10p10 will give you the answer, which is, if I'm not mistaken, let me just double check the answer. 10p10 is, hold on, let me use a calculator just to be safe. 10p10, 10p10. All right, this is 3628800. Yep, this is 10p10. Okay, number 2. Find a number of different ways to arrange if students who weigh more than 50 kg are placed in a bottom bed and the twins are placed in the same bunk beds. Okay, so we list down which students are more than 50 kg first. More than 50 kg, we have B, E, G, and H. And then less than 50, we have A, C, D, F, I, and J. Okay, now we go and settle this one first. Twins are placed in the same bunk bed. Okay, now twins is A and B, right? A and B are twins. Okay, pasangan kembar. So A and B, where is A, where is B? Okay, B is more than 50 kg. And then follow the first statement, it says those who more than 50 kg must be placed at the bottom. So we assume that B is here, the A must be here. Now these two, right, it's specially place them at the place that they need to be placed with. Okay, so I'm gonna do 1p1, a single person, special place for him. For one, I mean, there's a special place for him, so 1p1. And then same goes to B, 1p1. You have 1b here, and then you want to arrange him at a specific place, so 1p1 and 1p1. Now the next is, once we settle down A and B, we have E, G, and H to place with. This, right, you must be placed at the bottom bed. So how? At the bottom bed, you have another 4 slot. The 4 slot, right, you have to put in 3%, 3 student. So this is 4p3. Assuming E, G, H is now placed with their position already, how many slots do you have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? How many students do you have to place with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means for this 5 student, I have to arrange them into this remaining 5 beds. So if you were to calculate everything that align with the criteria, 1p1 times 1p1 times 4p3 times 5p5. And that will give you the result of 2880. That is question 11b. All right, that is question 11b. Okay, so every time when it comes to permutation and combination, I really do recommend students to draw it up, and then that will actually help you to solve it. Okay, so that is question 11b, and right now I think we will move on to question 12, which is the last question of the video. All right, I think the video is quite long for now. I hope that I will be happy to see. I mean, I will be happy if you actually stay up to this point, because you actually really want to learn. It shows that passion. So I'm happy to see that. Okay. Now, hang in there for a while, because this is already the last question. Diagram 9 shows 6 letter cards used in a binomial experiment. A card will be chosen randomly in each Bernoulli trial. The card is then replaced. If there are 120 trials, find the expected value of the number of consonant letter cards that will be chosen. Now, out of this CERDIK, Cerdik, right? Which one is consonant? C, R, D, and K, 4 consonant. If I want consonant to be chosen, right, my P value will be 4 out of 6. Q value will be 2 out of 6. Right? My P value will be 4 out of 6, and Q value will be 2 out of 6. Okay? Because this is about binomial experiment. Experiment binomial. I believe when you learned this chapter, right, you knew what is P and Q. P is the probability of success rate, success event, and then Q is the probability of failure. So they ask for expected value. You might confuse what is expected value, but if you focus on number of consonant letter cards that will be chosen, and you're only given 120 trials, right, it is most likely you have to find mean. Because mean is the value that they give you according to your event. For example, you focus on number of consonant letter cards. Mean, we are using n times p. So immediately, if you calculate mean, right, which is 120 times 4 over 6, okay, you get as a result is 80. You will know that out of 120 trials, 80 of them is the number of consonant letter cards that will be chosen. That is how you could actually understand it. So B, if there are 5 trials, find the probability that the number of consonant letter card chosen is more than the number of vowel letter card chosen. You have 5 trials. If you want consonant more than vowel, that means 3 consonant with 2 vowel, 4 consonant with 1 vowel, 5 consonant with 0 vowel. However, right now we only focus on the consonant. So that means I have to calculate probability of x equal to 3, probability of x equal to 4, and probability of x equal to 5. I have to calculate this. Okay, and of course my n is equal to 5 because I only have 5 trials. So x equal to 3, x equal to 4, x equal to 5. Make sure your p is 4 over 6. So this is going to be 5c3 times, oh my god, the equation is quite long, 5c3, 4 over 6 power 3 times 2 over 6, and then 5 minus 3. Now this is the first part, 5c4, 4 over 6 power 4, and then 2 over 6, and this is 5 minus 4, and then plus again. We have 5c5 times 4 over 6 power 5 times 2 over 6, 5 minus 5. Okay, finally we will get our final answer, which is 0.7901. 0.7901. Okay, if you press all this together, okay, of course you're going to press one by one and then you add them up. Eventually you will get an answer 0.7901. Okay, and that will be another 4 marks. Okay, so that will be the last part of the discussion for this video. As I said, we will break it into 3 parts of the video because I would like to explain each question in depth. So thank you for staying up until the end. If you learned something in this video, if you like the video, please consider like, and subscribe to the channel because I will share more and more so that you can actually benefit in your exam and in your future as well. Okay, thank you, and I will see you in another video. Let's cook Addmaths together. Bye bye.